Alright guys, today we're talking Doctor Who in the first of a series of videos where I'll be looking at some of the unanswered questions of the show and trying to answer them and put together some kind of theory. Now in this video we're going to be taking a look at the 50th anniversary special, Day of the Doctor, and we're going to explore just who the Curator is, along with the possibility that we could see some familiar faces return in the future, but just the old favourites. So let's start with the Curator, who we see at the end of the episode as 10 doesn't want to go, he always says that, and Clara offers 11 a moment alone with his painting, mentioning that there was an old man looking for him, possibly the Curator. Now this is where the dialect starts to get interesting, because here in this, 11 says, I could be a curator, I'd be great at curating, I'd be the great curator, I could retire and do that. This then leads to the introduction of the Curator himself, played by Tom Baker, the face of the 4th Doctor, albeit a lot older, as he says in his instantly recognisable voice,
You know, I really think you might.
At this point, the look on Eleven's face clearly shows that he recognises it as a voice from his past, as he turns around to take a look at the old man, saying, I never forget a face, implying that he recognises the face from his past, with the Curator replying, I know you don't. So this all seems to imply that the Curator is the Doctor at some point in Eleven's future, and the dialogue goes on to support this as the Curator talks about the years to come, most interestingly when he uses the line, in the years to come you might find yourself revisiting a few, but just the old favourites, eh? So what this all implies is that in Eleven's future we'll see a point where his regeneration see him take on the form of some of his past faces, which is what we appear to be seeing here, as in his old age he's returned to the face of the 4th Doctor and retired to be the Curator of the Undergallery, as mentioned by 11 earlier in the scene. So how can he take on the form of his past faces and kind of hijack his regeneration? To answer that, there is a few cases in Doctor Who history where regeneration has been steered in a certain direction. The most recent comes in the short that was produced in the lead up to the 50th anniversary Night of the Doctor, which starred Paul McGann and showed us what happened in the last moments of the 8th Doctor's life as he died trying to save the pilot of a crashing spacecraft, who after learning that he was a Time Lord refused to escape with him due to the reputation of the Time Lords at the time, as they were embroiled in the Time War with the Daleks, noting that she couldn't tell the difference between the two and foolishly choosing death over escape. Following the crash, the 8th Doctor was brought back to life by the Sisterhood of Khan for a whole 4 minutes, in which time he was offered their special elixir which would trigger his regeneration, and instead of it being random, it would nudge it in a certain direction, offering him the choices of being fat or thin, young or old, or even man or woman, indicating that a Time Lord could change gender, which we would later see in the following series as the Master would become Missy. As for this encounter, the 8th Doctor would ultimately choose Warrior, telling the Sisterhood to make him a warrior as there was no longer the need for a doctor. Enter John Hurt as the War Doctor. So from this we now know that it is indeed possible to set regeneration in a certain way, although this doesn't confirm being able to take on a certain appearance. Instead, for that we'll have to go back in time to 1979's Destiny of the Daleks, where the Doctor's then companion and fellow Time Lord Romana regenerated into a new form. In doing so, she was actually able to change her appearance multiple times before taking on the form of Princess Astra, who had appeared in the show's previous season. So this was the first time we've seen a Time Lord able to regenerate and choose their own form, one that was taken from the past and someone that they'd previously encountered. Now this is something that's happening in the current series, following 11 regenerating into 12 and taking on the form of Peter Capaldi, who we've seen previously in the 2008 episode The Fires of Pompeii, where he played Lobus Cassilis, and who we've also seen in the spin-off series Torchwood Children of Earth, where he played John Frobisher. Stephen Moffat has said that we'll be finding out more about why the Doctor looks like Cassilis in the future, and we've already seen him recognise his face from his past in the first episode of Series 8, when he recognised his face in the mirror and went on to say that it was covered in lines, but he didn't do the frowning, questioning who frowned with this face. Ultimately, an official explanation should be on the horizon, but in the case of Romana, some spin-off media is trying to backtrack on her ability to choose a form, speculating that it was the TARDIS responsible for her regeneration, or that the different forms shown were simply projections. Getting back to Day of the Doctor, and if you need further proof that the Curator is the Doctor in his later years, he goes on to reveal the full name of the painting as Gallifrey Falls No More, as Eleven's face lights up with the revelation that Gallifrey didn't fall and that it's still out there somewhere. It's just lost. He then says, you must excuse me, you have a lot to do, implying that he knows what's in store for 11 as he's already lived it. 11 then goes on to ask if he's supposed to go looking for Gallifrey, but the Curator can only tell him what he would do if he was him, before saying, perhaps I were you, or you are me. The final shot of the Curator sees him walking away from the Doctor, and it gives us another clue as it shows the round things on the wall that was seen in the 4th Doctor's TARDIS. So we now seem to know who the Curator is. The next question is, what is the museum? We know it's a place used to store all of the items too dangerous for public consumption, but rather than it being just a building or a basement, what if the round things indicate that the museum is actually the Curator's TARDIS? I mean, of all the places to store dangerous technologies, surely the TARDIS would be one of the safest. At this point, there isn't a lot of evidence to support this, so maybe the round things were simply there as another clue to point to the Curator being the Doctor, but surely his TARDIS is still around somewhere. While we may not have an answer on that, it seems to be pretty clear that the Curator is the Doctor in his later years, revisiting some of his favourite faces in the 4th Doctor, and I have to say I'm excited by this and the possibility that we could see the Doctor regenerate into another familiar face in the future, maybe even an older version of 11, as Matt Smith followed up Tom Baker's line with a nice little wink, and let's face it, who wouldn't want to see Matt return at some point in the future? So that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Let me know what you think about it in the comments, along with any other theories that you have on the Curator, or any other unanswered questions that you'd like me to tackle in a future video. Until next time, catch you later.